All right, well, I like to start whenever I talk to people with the assumption that you don't actually, you've heard of the British Library, but you don't actually know the basics of how it works. And I've learned that, not everybody knows each other. They also don't know what makes us awesome. So the British Library, what makes us awesome, and also what poses some pretty big challenges for us. So awesome, we receive a copy of every publication produced in the UK and Ireland. That's awesome. That's also a huge challenge. The BL is not a lending library, so a lot of people don't realize that when they come to the library. They think they can, go into the reading room and take a book off the shelf and leave with it. You could try, you will get stopped. I don't think of this. And so we are able to collect everything because it's part of the legal deposit agreement. And so we get a copy of everything, but a priority is to preserve it. And that's why when you come to the reading room, you can't take it away with you. So there's a restriction there. And so it's complicated in the digital realm as well. Okay, so the other thing is the collection includes well over 150 million items, manuscripts, maps, blah, 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 music scores, it's got everything. And it's increasingly becoming more digital through electronic acquisitions. And so we're wondering how can we best serve up, again, both physical and digital, like at the bottom in the reading rooms. And we get 400,000 folks that visit our reading rooms each year. That is awesome as well. But do we want more? Yes, we always want more. But the question is, does a digital library even require a physical manifestation? We want more visitors to come to the library, but we also want more visitors having access to information all over the world. So one of the challenges that we took on with Growing Knowledge Exhibition was exploring what this space might look like. And so because we have a spot of land right to the north of the British Library, and the idea was that we call it the land to the north. And what to do with the land to the north. And so everybody thought, well, let's create a digital research center. And then the question is, what does that even mean? Why do we need a digital research center? And what would that look like? And does that even make sense? So the project was to help us design and deliver future research services and the environment as well. So it was a pretty big scope for this exhibition. And so part of it was to do a prototype digital research space in the front hall. And it's a very small space, but we wanted to do just a kind of small scale investigation of, what would it look like and how would people react to it. And then within that, have some interfaces and workstation arrays that demonstrate what you might find when you get to a computer in the Digital Research Center. And then the whole thing was evaluated by observation and group focus groups run by Cyber Digital Research, or Cyber Research Organization, IUCL. So, this is what we came up with. And it looks like a portal to outer space. And it was very interesting. And when it first launched, everybody was really excited, and then everybody was scared to go in, we found, because it looks very different than everything at the British Library. And so it's a very small space. It had very futuristic lamps up above. But it had different workstations. And so each workstation, it had a lot of interactives as well. So each workstation, and I love this picture, because it showed that everybody who came in, we weren't just targeting readers actually. It was in the front hall. You didn't need a reader pass, anyone could come in. And so it was like the really young weren't scared of it, because it was this glowing white Apple store. That's what the future looks like. And the quite old were like fearless, but like everyone my age was like would peek in and wouldn't go over the threshold. It was too scary for them. So you had to like bring them in and explain it to them. Which actually that taught us a bit too later on about supporting a space like this, because when you're dealing with like high technology, things are breaking all the time, and it's not just someone and you need to facilitate it. And it's not just someone, in the electronic services or the IT help desk. You actually need people to be there to understand the technology as well. The reading room staff. So anyway, so there were different pods. There were like little workspaces and nice benches. And each pod had different screen arrays. So you had one that was a touch screen, and then 2 screens, 3, and 4. And 4 looks really good in a photograph, but everybody hated it. They didn't think it was very useful, which is kind of interesting to us. And then we have the ubiquitous multi-touch Surface Cable, which was very interesting, the feedback we got on whether or not that would be useful for researchers or not. So, and again, there's so there's so much information I can't put 20 minutes, but so this is what we thought researchers might get when they come to the British Library now. So right now, if you come to a reading room, you have to have a reader's pass. You go into the reading room. There are computers, and they're set to the side, and then there are other just tables, plain tables that order books from and stuff. And you get to a PC, and it's a Windows machine, and you get a browser, and you can kind of look on the internet, but most things are blocked because you're not supposed to take things with you. And then we have a whole web page list of resources that might be helpful for you. So obviously we want to do something better than that in the future to make it easier for people to get to these resources. So this was kind of a design that was come up with. So if you were, you can't really see it, but your discipline, and again, this is it's very simplified in a major way. But you would pick your discipline area, and then it would give you a selection of the top resources, and it would be a mix of like the British Library one, so it would be our catalog, it would be our video search, our video search, so you can capabilities, so you can search the videos by text transcription and jump to places in there. That's a whole other discussion. That's awesome. And then new publications. So Jove, if anyone has seen, that's a publication, peer-reviewed journal that has videos attached to it. So it's very awesome and gruesome in many ways. Lots of surgeries. And so they're all here, and also tools would be on the side. So when you came in, you would already have your tools that you typically use as a researcher, just laid out and ready for you to use. So, Blogger and Twitter and Mendeley, you were saying Mendeley. And that was a huge one. Most people hadn't heard of Mendeley, and it just blew up. Everybody just loves Mendeley now. It's a big thing. And then other external tools as well. So, like New York Public Library has a rectification tool, so if you have an old map, you can map it onto Google Maps so you can see the present or the future, or the past. So we wanted to evaluate what they thought of these resources, and we had a lot of the open source or open resources that are behind the collection wall as well. Because we don't do a lot of that at the library, promoting resources that people can use that they don't have to pay